core straight. So my legs are either going to come down here or they're going to come into the middle if I feel like I'm going to be countered. So I want to make sure that you take the knee off the floor and drive, and then I want this leg to sweep around your head as close to the floor as possible. And then what that'll do is load your core up so your core is straight and strong. And then your legs can come around. If I keep this knee on the mat, what tends to happen is we get all twisted. So if Lance is on the back of my turtle and I was able to keep my legs free and it looks good, but I keep my knee on the floor, this is what happens. You get sort of smashed. Okay, and that's not what we want. We want a straight, strong core. We're going to get that straight, strong core from making sure our feet are free, doing a shoulder roll, but then taking the knee off the mat. And that allows both of my legs to go through relatively well, and either the legs go down heavy or they tuck into the middle on the inside heavy. Now, let's look at this when Lance is doing a go behind. So if we hit the same roll when he's hitting a go behind, you'll notice that his body is busy and it allows that freedom for me to roll and have him not in this position where he just catches my legs or puts a knee up the middle and sits on a leg lock, or stands up and if it were a fighting situation, throws a punch to the middle. That makes it very difficult. So if I were to get to the leg and he sprawls and he hits the go behind, at that time when I roll over, he's very busy, so it's going to be very difficult for him to counter me with any type of power, or he's not going to be just there waiting. He's going to be receiving the legs as he's moving. So we keep that in mind as we hit this move. Best time to hit it is when someone actually physically does a go behind. That's the timing. One thing I see from time to time I want you to completely stay away from is hitting this roll when someone is here in front of you, in the top quadrant, either left or right side. Please do not do this roll there, because what happens is you're going to end up being stacked up on your neck. So this is not the time to do it. It's either rear quadrant or he's hit a go behind and he's going into the rear quadrant. Then we can roll over that same side shoulder. If he goes behind my right shoulder, it's a right shoulder roll. If he goes behind my left shoulder, it's a left shoulder roll. But make sure we really drive that knee off the mat. So what it looks like without Lance is we're here. He's moved around, and then this knee drives off that floor. That way my legs can come around, my core is straight, and the movement is very strong. All right, again, just some very basic turtle defense into offenses. We're going to look at the makikomi roll. This one is when we are able to capture an arm behind us. And generally speaking, he's already behind me. He's in the rear quadrant. He exposes an arm back here. And remember, when we do this move, anytime we're trapping arms, you don't need to physically grab a wrist. So sometimes it feels like you need to grab a wrist. You don't always need to do that. Most of the time, we just need to use the crook of our elbow on his wrist itself to trap his hand. Obviously, the hand is wider than the wrist. So if I can trap using the crook of my elbow and my lat, if I can hold that in, that's typically enough of a trap as it is. It'll keep him from basing his arm out there. The other thing we need from makikomi is the same that we talked about before. We want him on a side of the body. I don't want him splitting right and left, so I don't want him over my legs. I want to have my legs completely free from Lance. In my opinion, the easiest way to get a makikomi is to run away first, and then when he follows you, you roll through. If he doesn't follow you, you would use a reverse peek out or things like this. But most of the time, that people try to follow you, and that's when makikomi is really going to be sort of feel very simple. So again, this arm is through. You only need the crook of your elbow at the wrist. That way it leaves my hand free to do some hand fighting if needed. So I don't need to go and grab his wrist. That would be, in my opinion, would be a waste of an arm. So I hold this here. My left hand can still hand fight. Okay. Again, I need my feet free, and what we're going to do is we're going to bring our head to the mat so that allows my base to walk away. At the minute Lance begins following me, I'm going to throw my knee back underneath him, and I'm going to be rolling through. as we roll through, once we get here, it's very important on a makikomi that I actually sit up at the very end of my sweep. I can cover the legs and begin moving myself backwards, and then we are on the top of cross side facing his legs, and then we can recover with whatever offense that you wish. But the very end of the makikomi, I want you to sit up. I don't want you to stay flat on your back. When you sweep somebody, I want you to sit up. It finishes that makikomi. So his legs are here, and that's what really makes his legs go to the mat. So please sit up on that one. So again, we'll focus first on just having the wrist, making sure my feet are free. My forehead is on the mat, once again, so I can move my legs away. And then as he follows me, I actually move back underneath him, so I'm in a very tight circle. I've cleared his hip, and I sit up at the very end of the sweep. And now I like to monitor the legs, start to walk backwards, and then survey whatever it is that you'd like to do. You want to take the back, you want to get cross-eyed, you want to do whatever it is there that is in your wheelhouse. Without Lance, what the move looks like, because we're moving away. If he really runs over you, you can just put your hip down. If he runs but stops, I want you to think that you're going to run back into him and put your knee back as a shovel into him. So those two situations can look like this. If I sprint away and he's chasing me fast enough, we dip our hip down to the mat, I have his wrist, and I just sit up at the end. If I run away and he either stays put or doesn't run fast enough, then we actually move back into him. Same. We sit up at the very end, and we get a very successful sweep. So this time, I'll have Lance stay. I'll run away, get some room, and I'll have him stay there, and even put his weight down a little. You'll see that when I run back in, my hips are going to shovel under his, and away he goes. So we'll look at it from this angle this time. I got his wrist. He's going to stay put. I'm going to walk away, he's going to stay there, and then I'm going to run back in, and I get that same shovel, and I sit up at the end. So one more time. It's a very, very useful technique. So we'll go over here, buddy. So he'll stay put, I run away, and then I say, hey, he's staying. I'm going to run back in, shovel my knee in, and then you can see that it still creates that same situation. He's got behind me, I've got his wrist, I make sure I free my legs, so I puts him on this lower quadrant of mine, and we have that wrist. We either run away and hit the deck, or we run away, hey, he's not moving, we run back in. We can easily hit him with a makikomi roll. Okay, we're going to look at an escape where generally in cross-side, what I prefer to do is to control both sides of the body. So from the top position, I like at least one arm on one side and one arm on the other, or one arm on one side or two arms on one side and legs controlling the other. But there's a sense of control on both sides of the body. But what can be really common with the gi, and it is a very good pin, is where arms can be underneath on the same side as the legs. It's a good pin with the gi. It's very common, and therefore we need a very reliable escape from that position. So let's take a look at it now. I don't really generally do this very often, and mainly the reason why is because I like to do a lot of no gi, and the transference of that grip can be quite slippery at best with no gi, and I feel like it leaves less room for control. But with the gi, again, because we have the luxury of having an artificial, quote unquote, artificial grip through the gi, it can be a very strong pin. And if I don't get out quite right, we could have our back taken pretty easy. So here's what we need. When we're here and Lance has everything on one side, I obviously cannot turn into him. I mean, everything's packed on this side. So if my arms were where they